control here. We haven't even started. Welcome back to the Spiro Avenue show. I was a middle-class citizen in the high school hierarchy. So, I've had some people ask me over the years, like, okay, what's your crazy high school story? And where'd you go? We were actually just talking about that. And I always like to say I was kind of in the middle class. So I wasn't like the guy with no friends that never had a date to anything, but I also wasn't in the in crowd. I was like just kind of a C plus, B minus social person and student, actually. It aligned perfectly. But I did have a girlfriend, my first girlfriend. Nice girl, and rest in peace to that relationship. She's still alive, but the relationship was a little testy at times. But she was a year younger than me, because any self-respecting high school student dates down, because all the attractive girls in your grade are dating like 32-year-olds, right? Sure. So I was a year down, and I got a car. I got my driver's license right when that relationship started, and she always said that I took hard turns. My turns were too hard. I made her sick in the car. I was okay at sort of a 12 and 6, but if I had to turn right on Woodward, I took it too sharp. I take hard turns. And we're taking a hard turn tonight, really. This is about as hard of a turn as you can get, because I went from arguably the heaviest topic ever, literally child sex abuse, for 3.5 hours, that led to a conversation in prison with me and Jerry Sandusky, something I did not see coming in my lifetime. So we're going from that to a much lighter, more fun show tonight, and more on brand, I guess, for us, for the Michigan State audience, that most of you land in that basket. So this is a big night. I'm excited. We got a lot to cover, and it's all good stuff. We don't talk about position matchups here for the third string center. I'm not into that. I'm into big topics, and we got two big personalities to talk about those big topics, making not just their debut in studio, but their debut in front of my face in any capacity, anywhere. Yeah. First time I met both of you, first time you guys met each other. It's a menage a trois of social interaction for the first time here. Right, we have Connor Muldowney of Spartan Avenue and Matt Sheehan.
Hey guys, what's up? This is great.
Sheehan of Locked On Spartans. So it's great to have you guys. Great to be out of the child sex abuse scandal realm and back into my bread and butter Michigan State.
I thought we were going to talk about Palestine today. I thought that's not.
Is that what you guys want to talk about? Palestine?
Lighthearted topics. No.
I'll talk about that for 2 hours, but I'll tell you what. Everyone talks about that stuff, and they have no. That's one of those things that drives me nuts. Like, everybody talks these strong opinions, pro-Israel, anti-Israel. Sure. I don't care. Like, that's not even the point. Mm. It's like, how much do you idiots really know? Like, how many people are actually qualified?
Oh, I know nothing.
Yeah, I'll listen.
Yeah. I know nothing.
I don't have a strong opinion. It's like people, I do a sports show, but I don't know everything about sports. I don't know anything about tennis. If someone's asking me a tennis question, I don't even know, with this lady that dropped off, or it was a mental health issue.
Osaka? Yeah, I know.
Was that soccer or tennis? It was tennis?
Yeah.
That came up. Someone's like, hey, what do you think of this Osaka thing? I don't even know who Osaka is. I'm not sure. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, so we're not going to be talking about Palestine. Even if that were the topic, I would do a horrible job at it.
I'll stay there.
But where I think we're good, we're comfortable.
I'll stick around.
Is exactly where we're staying. So it's Michigan State. And I want to start here. I think it's the best place to start. Mel Tucker and the fast-changing program with Michigan State football. This has been one of the biggest shifts that I can remember, certainly in sort of my kingdom, my realm of fandom, maybe even arguably in the country, where the predecessor was very successful, had a lot of good things happen, arguably like statue outside of the stadium worthy level of success, unprecedented success for that program, and is replaced by someone that is doing everything completely differently, but there's no pushback. In fact, to the contrary, everybody's embracing it. So I want to start with this comparison between Mark Dantonio, whom we love, whose painting is on the wall in this studio, technically in the bathroom, but don't read into that. Don't read anything into that. Mark Dantonio versus Mel Tucker. So let's throw that up, and I want to run down some of this, and then I'm going to let them do most of the talking beyond that. But let's set this up. So here's what we did. There's some similarities, and there's some differences. So we got Mel versus Mark here. They both played defensive back in college. They have both won national titles as assistants. Mel Tucker was the assistant head coach and defensive assistant coach for Alabama in 2015. Mark Dantonio, famously defensive coordinator for the Ohio State Maurice Clarett Buckeye team in 2002. And they are both part of the Saban coaching tree. So played back in college, won titles as assistants, and they're both from the Saban coaching tree. And beyond that, we could have done a list of 100 things where they're different, and we just listed a few of them. Mel Tucker, great affection for the media. Mark Dantonio, open contempt for the media. So I actually, let's quickly dive into that, Ben. I want to, before we go through the rest of the list, I'm going to show you the contrast before we continue of Mark Dantonio handling the media and how he viewed the media versus Mel Tucker. And then we'll continue down the list. We'll keep rolling.
Why skip around? Just tell it the way it is.
Couple of more clarity in the receiving core.
Did you?
No.
Okay, next question.
How surprising was that lack of emotion considering what happened last week?
It was surprising. Next question.
Coach, does your offense need to play better to be effective against Ohio State next week?
Yes, next question. I'm not talking about injuries. Next question.
You said players make plays. Can you talk about Sims and Le'Veon and how big they were today?
They were big. Next question.
Is it a tough decision?
I'm just loving all these questions because they're great ones. Go ahead.
Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for 5 weeks. Wall-to-wall football, 24/7, all in. I mean, let's go.
Paul, there he is. My man Paul, right where he belongs. Get my steps in. You like football? You do? Yeah, so Alexa, play Miles Davis.
Not apples to apples. One's at a press conference where even though Michigan State won, they played like shit. And Mel Tucker, this is a scripted thing, but that's kind of my point. Mel Tucker every other week has some scripted behind the scenes. Hey, get a camera on me, where Mark Dantonio just despised it. So Ben, if you can go back to the original graphic, we'll finish the list and then we'll let the two guests actually have the mic for a minute and we'll break this down. So, I mean, the difference between these two guys is just astounding. Let's get back to it. Mel Tucker, national recruiter, wants everybody. Mark Dantonio, Midwest regional recruiter. Mel Tucker loves players with size. They have to fit a certain profile per position, or he doesn't even want them. He doesn't even want his coaching staff looking at these guys. Mark Dantonio, conversely, loves the undersized, scrappy dudes. Give me 15 Blair Whites and we'll win 10 games. That's the difference. And we'll finish here. Mel Tucker, everyone is replaceable. Anyone can go. You don't do your job. Coach, vendor in the stands, player, doesn't matter, get the hell out. Mark Dantonio, undying loyalty to players and staff, went down with many a ship in his days. So we'll wrap there in terms of the listing, because we could go on and on and on. Sure. I'm curious, we love the differences. We before this show, we're doing the picture with Mel Tucker. We got the scars. We're all eating it up. I've had 2 commission paintings on the wall plus a third picture. So I'm clearly all in despite a 2 and 5. That didn't deter me at all. That didn't deter my enthusiasm. I'm curious where you guys are on this. I'm wondering, not just the fan base, but even for myself, because I don't know. Are we getting ahead of ourselves? And are these changes a good thing? Because it is, like we said, a total deviation from where they were. Are we celebrating stuff without enough result yet? Or is it a justified excitement? We'll start with you, Connor. Let's throw it to you.
Go get him, bud.
I mean, I don't think that we're getting too out of ourselves, because you got to look at it like this. We've been so accustomed to the same style of coaching. I mean, a lot of us grew up with Mark Dantonio. Obviously, we remember the John L. days, but some of us were like a little too young, maybe me and you.
Unfortunately, that's
we were
me
grade
through my
school
childhood.
age.
Yeah, this is why I'm the way I am. Actually, this is why I have trust issues, because of Bobby Williams and John L. Smith.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. Go on.
No, exactly.
This isn't a therapy session for me.
It could be. If we're talking about Bobby and John L.
Who's to say?
So we went from like a loopy John L. Smith to, a straight-laced Mark Dantonio, and it worked. And it worked for like a decade. And then I think you saw the last bullet point was undying loyalty to his staff, which I think that's the only thing that people can really say out of that list was something that doomed him. I mean, everything else, like, he worked as a regional recruiter. It worked. I mean, Ohio kids loved playing against Michigan and Ohio State. They loved it. And he found diamonds in the rough, every single class. He would get 5 or 10 guys who were just like, these guys were nobodies. Darquez Denard, all those guys. But then at that point, then everything started to crumble. Then the recruiting locally started not to work as much because, the staff was so used to, recruiting the same regions, looking at the same places, and the talent wasn't the exact same. And they stopped worrying about, certain regions of the country like Georgia and Texas and Florida that have all this national talent. And Mel's going after that. And that's why I think the excitement is at such a high level, because, everybody wanted that national recruiting footprint. And Dantonio was he had his little region. He had his little safe space.
Didn't even try.
He didn't even try. He stopped. I mean, in the early years, I'm sure he had, plenty of Texas, Florida. He had Georgia. Darquez was from Georgia. I mean, but now we're seeing Tucker do more of that, and he's going to California. He's going out west. Like we never saw this. So I think it's okay to be excited, but I mean, sure, we could pump the brakes, but why? I mean, social media is fun to just kind of troll and whatnot. And right now we have bragging rights. All right, Michigan State beat Michigan last year
one time
with the worst roster in
a MAC roster.
MAC roster.
Yeah.
Where's everybody from Michigan State transferring to?
Yeah, and that was like the weird flex on Twitter with some people. You know,
I flexed that.
That's what I'm saying. You were the one that involved.
Yeah.
I mean, where do you stand on this, Matt? Because I mean, my point is, and again, I'm not even sure what I think. I like to bring guests on to help me get to where I feel comfortable with my position. I'm a strongly opinionated guy. This one I honestly don't know, because as excited as I am, I have given some pause. This is a complete, almost 180 from what we had, and what we had worked. Yeah. So is there any reason to think, I don't know, maybe throwing everybody out if they look at him the wrong way, slight exaggeration, maybe it's not a good thing. I obviously Dantonio too far on the other extreme, but do you think that we should embrace this? Because I do have some concerns about a complete 180 to what we know worked here, or is he just with the times?
And that's fair to have that concern, totally. I mean, the whole Dantonio era, just like you said, you know, with those bullet points, it's all fun and games when he's, you know, a curmudgeon to the media. When he's getting those, what do you call it, stage 1 recruits, just like the Michigan and Ohio guys. That's all fun when that's working. Like, it's awesome. We're doing it our way. We're the underdogs. Like, yeah, that's right, after everyone else. And then you get to 2018, 2019, and oh boy, it's the same staff. We're getting the same kind of recruits. And, well, the 2 stars in Darquez Denard, Kirk Cousins, Le'Veon Bell. I don't know if you guys knew. Those guys were 2 stars.
I never heard that.
Mentioned.
Yeah, fun fact.
Fun fact. Yeah.
That doesn't work all the time, though. Eventually it caught up to him. I mean, it's like getting hot at a blackjack table. That's not going to stay like that forever. You're going to see a lot of tens of the dealers going to pull on their ace. So it caught up to him at the end. And now you see where these guys are transferring to, just like Connor mentioned a little earlier. You had to do a lot of pillaging of this roster, right? I mean, I know Dantonio signed that bonus. He earned the bonus.
Good for him.
Good for him. I love Dantonio. I love him like a family member.
Yeah.
With that said, he should have to pay back $100,000 for every guy that transfers to a non-Power 5 school in the last year. The malpractice of recruiting.
That bonus is going to wipe out.
Yeah.
He'll be in the red, no doubt about it. But the malpractice of recruiting at the end was inexcusable. Like Devin Hightower, he goes to Cincinnati. Oh, good for him. Oh, as a walk-on. Oh my goodness gracious! Oh, Mark, what are we doing here? Like,
He's a preferred walk-on. Give him the preferred.
Preferred walk-on. Excuse me, but yeah. So, yes, it worked. It was a lot of fun when it did work, but I think especially now in the environment that Mel came into, when transfers are such a hot commodity now, that was not the issue back in 07 or 06 whenever Dantonio came in. Like, this is an active thing that you could fish players out of. So why not take full advantage of it? And he is. Thank God. Could you imagine if he tried to build this program? From scratch, like with no transfers?
5 years from now. 5 years from now, we'd be talking about our first winning season.
We were 2 years away from being Chris Ash's Rutgers team, I feel like. It was unbelievable. You laugh. I'm serious,
Connor.
I'm serious, Connor.
I agree with that. The roster was so bad.
It was not good.
That last year, I mean, even when we were winning in the Michigan game, I had zero expectations. Going into the fourth quarter, I think they were winning. I was like, I mean, they're going to lose by 3 touchdowns eventually. Eventually. I mean, I don't care if it gets down to the last 5 minutes. They're going to lose by 3 touchdowns. That's how bad the roster was. You had Rocky Lombardi throwing 50-yard bombs. That doesn't happen.
The true freshman, that's all.
Yeah.
Something light.
I can't knock these kids because they're
trying their best.
Yeah.
They're trying their best.
They earned a scholarship from Michigan State.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Well, it's not about ripping them. It's just the reality of the talent disparity.
It's the uncomfortable conversation. Yeah.
It spoke for itself.
And I still loved Antonio. Just like I said, it's weird.
Yeah.
Critical of him, but hey.
It's a love-hate.
I know. It really is.
I'm curious, like, where you guys stand on this one, because in my opinion, it's been very clear. They are trying to compete nationally. This is a program that traditionally, unless you're talking about the 1960s, everything was about the Rose Bowl. And to be fair, it would have been sort of presumptuous for them to shoot higher or aim higher because they were not getting to the Rose Bowl. So it's like, it's like maybe make your first $100 before you're worried about being a billionaire.
Sure.
So I think it was a reasonable, relatively low expectation. But they are trying to do something, overtly, that has not been done here in 50 years, where they're really trying to compete for national titles. You can talk about, if you want, 2015, technically they're in the Final Four. They were not competitive. The one exception, you could make an argument. They were the best team in the country in 2013, but generally, this has not been a national power program. Even when they're finishing top 5 or 6 those 3 years in a row, no one thought of them as Clemson, Alabama, even for like a 2-3 year stretch. I want to use one quote from Mel Tucker. We've talked about it before on his recruiting philosophy and how it ties into this, and then we'll throw it back to you guys. So we'll throw that up. This is him talking about the kind of kid he's looking for. This quote is going on a year old now, but this is after he's hired at Michigan State. And they're asking him, what's your philosophy in recruiting? He was asked point blank kind of where he stood on this. I don't even want them on my recruiting board unless they have size. Like, we're not even going to recruit them, because if you make an exception, you are going to have a team full of exceptions. There might be a kid that's 6 feet and 245 pounds at defensive end that wants to come, and he might be a good player. But at the end of the day, you end up playing against Georgia or Alabama, that kid will have a hard time holding up. Mel Tucker on his recruiting strategy. To me, that is the entire trajectory of the program, or his intended trajectory of the program in a nutshell. He's not talking about I want to beat Wisconsin. I want to get to Indy. I want to win in Indy. He's talking about, I'm watching Georgia and Alabama play on national TV in the college football playoff, and I see who's in that game. This old Dantonio shit's not going to work. Mm-hmm. That wasn't a personal slight against Mark, but it was a hard turn, to use the show open theme, from where they've been. I'm curious, do you think this is crazy? Because we get made fun of. A lot of people laugh at this. Michigan fans certainly laugh at this idea that Michigan State, I'm not saying we're going to be Alabama, win 5 national titles in 8 years. I'm not saying that. But is it reasonable that Michigan State could be in the college football playoff and you're in the fourth quarter and they're down 4 points with the ball with 6 minutes left, even if they lose? Just they're there and they're in it. It's not Alabama in 2015. Is it crazy? Is it out of reach for Michigan State?
Who wants to take this first? I don't think it is, because obviously in the whole landscape of the Big Ten, especially its own division, the Big Ten East, right? You got Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan. Like, that's a lot just on name alone to go up against. But then you look back and it's like, okay, they're actually like pulling, what is it, like top 30 revenue? I know revenue is like not the best metric to pull up, but like it is a team that generates interest. They generate winning in the history too. Obviously, there was a long stretch there where there wasn't a lot of winning. But they're getting it done in the Saban era, and also in the Dantonio era when they weren't getting those kind of recruits that Mel's talking about, right? I mean, when he says Alabama, the Georgias, he's also talking about the Ohio States and Penn States too. You just can't call them out by name because you're calling yourself the little guy your own conference. I mean, come on, shoot for someone that you'll only meet once a year, maybe if things go right in your season. So I think it can happen. Like, we've seen it happen. Like 2011 to 2015, it was insane. Sure, like we caught some good breaks, but also straight up 1-2. It's happened. It can happen, especially if Michigan keeps on going their downward trajectory. I mean,
State's only good when Michigan's bad.
That's true. That's a good point you bring up. So
that's the weirdest counter ever. Right? We could do an hour on that.
Such a weird flex.
It's like you're only good because we suck. Oh, okay,
sure.
You got over.
Other way around too. I guess that makes sense.
You got over. Yeah, you win. I guess.
I guess it's a long way of saying that. Yeah, I do believe they can do it because. What did you say? Like, they're not Alabama or Clemson. You know who else wasn't Clemson 10, 15 years ago? Clemson themselves.
Yeah, that's fair.
Texas A&M, who's on the precipice of greatness. Alabama, sure. I mean, that everyone thinks it was Bear Bryant and Nick Saban.
No.
There was a little bit of a hairy patch in the middle there. I mean,
they were bad for a while.
We're talking about LSU, too. I mean, LSU had a little up and down. So, yeah. There's ebbs and flows in every program.
Yeah.
Not unreasonable. Do you kind of agree there? You think this is...
Yeah, I think it's... I mean, when Dantonio was hired, did you think that he was going to be contending for a national championship within 8 years?
No, I
exactly.
didn't.
They
exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, he went from arguably one of the darkest periods of Michigan State football. I mean, darkest probably in my lifetime, to contending for a national title, playing Rose Bowl, winning Big Ten titles. I mean, I don't... Especially if he's thinking already Alabama, Georgia, that's already on his mind. You want a coach that's thinking about the big dogs. You don't want a coach that's like, I hope we beat Rutgers.
Match up to Kentucky in a bowl game.
I just want to be able to get a winning record every. It's okay to have those goals, but keep that to yourself. You want everybody thinking that you're thinking big time, and I think that's what's going to separate him from Dantonio. Dantonio was all about, we take care of who's in front of us every week. Blah blah blah. He was all about the coach speak. Tucker is all about I'm going to talk a big game because I think that I can prove it. And he's starting to get the players that, and I mean, they played in the SEC. A lot of these players played in the SEC. They can probably prove that, So I think that I'm all aboard.
I am all aboard, but your friends think I'm an asshole. And here's me.
Spiro Hive is live.
One time for Brett. There you are.
The three people that like me that you guys know actually don't like me.
These
But
are
they
slanders.
do.
You're self-slandering yourself.
So,
Come on.
can you slander yourself? I don't remember that.
I think so.
I got to go back to that class in law school.
Yeah.
No, but look, here's the counter. I'm not even saying I disagree, but I always have pause because I'm the cynic. I'm the cynical guy. Everyone thinks
It's understandable.
I hate
though.
my alma mater. But here's the flip side, and maybe this is unreasonable. Tell me. Please tell me I'm unreasonable. If you go for the big fish nationally, are you not just getting the lesser national prospects of the Alabama and then losing? Like if you're Mel Tucker, you got that big personality, you got all these resources at Michigan State, you can get your pick of that 3-star kid in Wisconsin. I mean, you're not going to win them all, but you're going to get a lot of those Midwest. You can get the best 3-star, the occasional best 4-star. I'm wondering if you're going sort of aiming too high, is there a concern that now you're neglecting sort of your bread and butter traditionally with Michigan State's history, and you're not getting enough of those big national guys to compete with Alabama anyway? Now you lose both. You're chasing two rabbits, and they both get away. Is that crazy? I mean, that's my only concern with this approach. Not saying it won't work, but I have a little pause.
I think it's okay to be cautious with that. I mean, he's already kind of said that if you can't recruit at Michigan State, you can't recruit. So, I mean, he's already kind of thrown himself prematurely under the bus if he doesn't get those guys. And he's seen what happened with Mark Dantonio. He's pretty good with listening to what the fans have to say. And I think he gets a good feel of, they didn't like this, what happened in the Dantonio era of, him going for the sure thing 3-star when he could, be in a race for a top 4-star. And, you're going to compete against the big boys for all those guys anyways. So why not get your name thrown in the hat for a lot of these big recruits and all that? And they're going to miss out on a lot, and the fan base is going to melt down like they always do. But it's okay to be cautious, but I think that he has the right approach to, putting himself, he wants to be that national brand that the Clemsons, the Alabamas, they're not obviously there, but like he wants to be working his way toward that. And I think that he's going to, if he stays for a while, knock on wood, he's going to build it brick by brick. But I think his goal is so high, and I'm such a fan of that I have nothing bad to say about it.
And I think he knows where to dip down too, right? He's been around the country, literally, and he gets a good feel of where the prospects are. And I looked at Indiana too. Like Indiana had quite literally a generational season last year. They're not pulling kids from around the region to make that season happen. They went down to Georgia, Florida, pulling their 3-stars out. I could
Georgia
be very
3-stars
wrong.
and Michigan 4-stars.
Thank you. You took it right out of my mouth, man. I really think there's something to that. I think that a Georgia 3-star, Florida 3-star is better than a Michigan 4-star. And maybe that's because I'm spurned just by the local Detroit area recruits. You can talk about the guys that went to Penn State, Michigan. Don't get me wrong, there's some good ones, like Lavert Hill, Ambry Thomas were fine for Michigan. He had some solid ones. Cody White was fun, right?
It was a good time.
You also got Devontae Dobbs. He was a 5-star. You also got Julian Barnett. He was a 4-star. I'm not sure if I'm jazzed with how that turned out.
They're young still.
That's true. There's a lot of game left.
If they figure it out, it won't be here.
I think he knows where to recruit, though. South is the way to go, man. That's where the ball is played.
Well, here's why
they play year round.
And Ohio.
Yeah, right. It's big. It does make a big difference. There's a reason why the quality of players is generally better. You always have the outliers, but we're going big picture, sort of macro view. Here's why, despite my own pause, I'm blowing through that pause, blowing through the stop sign, and just being enthusiastic anyway.
Hell yeah, Justin. Let's go.
Which is good for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know my reputation, but I mean, come on. It's like the guy's 2-5. He's on my wall at 3 different places. What if he actually does something?
Absolutely.
But here's why I'm
tattoo time. Let's go.
Right. I don't know. That'd be if anyone's going to be tattooed on my ass, it'll be the coach of a Michigan State football team that wins the national championship.
Yeah.
So if there's ever going to be, we're ever going to go in that pool, that would be what would get it done.
Sure.
Because I'm anti-tattoo for myself. I don't care what anyone else does. Hate it.
Right, fair enough.
But here's why I'm blowing through the stop sign with Mel and why I'm embracing it. I 100% believe in my heart of heart that Mel Tucker, combined with Michigan State, in his sleep, could be Kirk Ferentz, could be Iowa, could go 8-4, 9-3, pop up once every 6 years and win 11 games, and not be competitive in these big national games. I think that is a given if that's how he wanted to structure it. If he said, I'm going to go after the Midwest guys, This motherfucker isn't going to out-recruit Kirk Ferentz's dumbass. I know everyone loves Fitzgerald, but I mean, come on, Mel Tucker is
now we're talking.
He's the sexiest recruiter in the conference, like just in terms of his personality, his most appealing guy, I think, by far, with a couple exceptions. So I know we can get that. So I'd rather fuck up like going for more.
Yeah.
Why take the walk? Why take the single? We've seen actually some doubles and even triples with Dantonio. And I just love that they're at least trying. If it doesn't work, they tried. And that was kind of a Mike Valenti thing. It's like, you know what? Who knows if this thing's going to work? We don't know.
You're going for it, though.
Yeah, Mel's unproven. Even Mel's unproven. We don't know if the style will work. We don't know if he's even a good coach. I mean, I like him, but we don't know. Yeah. He has no track record in this role that's he can lean on. Two seasons, 2 losing records. But I love that they're trying to do it. Michigan State is not known to put the Brinks truck in the parking lot and empty it into the Michigan State football building.
Yeah,
they're doing that, and I'm happy to see them in that pool at least.
Right on, and I also looked at the transfers too that they got, like Harold Williams and Kimbrough from Florida. Those guys are backups for 2 mighty fine SEC teams. You know what? That's a lot better than what we have right now, first string in Big Ten country. So, yeah, that's A-okay. So, yeah, you go down south. You shoot for guys that are maybe Alabama's sloppy seconds or Clemson seconds. Awesome. Yeah, that sounds like an awesome idea. Let's go for it.
Every single year.
Yeah, just go for it. Why not? Just go fishing down there, man.
What's your guys' kind of timeline on? I think we agree. You know, the over-under, you talked about it, Matt, on your show recently about over-under being 4. I can't remember if it was you or your partner that took the bet already. I think it was
Will.
Will. It was Will, right?
Oh, yeah. Will's got his house mortgaged on that.
Yeah. So I love that. Right. He got that. You guys had the show talking about the over-under. He's like, just so you guys know, I'm going to get this out of the way at the top. I already bet my mortgage on over.
Oh, yeah.
But, I don't think even he would say, and I listened to that episode, I don't think he's saying, it's going to be some gangbusters year. But
right.
We're saying, all 3 of us, I think, have come to a consensus. You two, more enthusiastically, maybe, but me with some pause. But we're all there. We all think that this is going to be a team that could contend for the college football playoff. Resources are there. We've seen it with lesser recruiters in this role before, just 5 years ago. It wasn't that long ago. What's the timeline, though? It's not this year. I think we agree. Year 4, year 5. I'm not talking about 7 and 5 or whatever. I'm talking like 10+ wins. How far are we?
Any idea? Because I got a good idea, but it's not my thought.
Okay.
It's Justin Thinn's thought.
You
Friend
can
of
play,
this program.
guys.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm going to just,
you know what?
I'm going to use Justin Thinn's words through my mouth, and I'm going to sound smart. How about that? You like
if you're
that
going to
one?
plagiarize, that's a good choice.
Sure, yeah, you like that one? So
he's a good guy.
We had him on recently on our show, Locked On Spin. No, I'm not going to plug my podcast on your podcast.
Every time you talk, you have a little lower third saying host.
How fancy is that?
Yeah,
look at that.
I know you haven't been looking at yourself in our TV mirror over there.
No, why would I look at myself?
No, look at that. You're beautiful. Look at that. So
look at me go.
Plug away by all means. But anyway, go on.
So we had him on, and obviously June 1st is a major date for all college programs around the country. Recruits can finally come on campus, and he had a good point that it's not just the 2022, it's actually more so the 23 class, because Mel never had a chance to even build relationship in that first year with the 2022 guys. And of course, recruiting, like your first time on campus as a sophomore, a junior. I mean, he's missed all that time with those kids right now. So Stin brought up that it maybe the 2023 class is the one to judge him on. So, I mean, you hate to give a guy that you're giving $6 million a year to a long leash for success.
It's special.
Then again, the first year was a little odd, wouldn't you say? Shut down the entire
special circumstances.
I would.
Tara Stafford calls it year 0. I think that's a common thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
almost.
I feel like it's 4 years. 5 years too. I don't know.
But like, are we talking about expectations? Like he said to win 10 games,
like a New Year's Six Bowl, right?
Yeah, to be in that conversation,
or like you're, however you want to quantify it. You could say, you're a month away from the season ending, and you're like 6th in the CFP rankings, and if 1 or 2 teams lose, you could get it. I'm not saying you're at the absolute peak, but you're like kind of on the doorstep of where we think the peak could be.
Like you're 6-2, 7-2 late in the season.
Right now, as I'm in a calm state of mind, I'm not in mid-season form. I'm going to tell myself that, like 4 years, I'll start to get a little antsy on edge. 5 years is really when it hits, because now those 23 kids are going to be juniors. I know in the middle of the season, I'll be losing my goddamn mind, and I'll be just, throwing F-bombs everywhere.
Tie game with Illinois in the first
quarter.
Tie
game, we're going to triple overtime against Western Kentucky. I'll be losing all my marbles. And that won't be fun. But right now, you caught me at a good in June. This is a good time to ask a question. I think 2025 is going to be the time to really
That's that's
Really great
long,
amount.
but I'm just looking it up so I don't throw falsehoods on here. But I'm just looking at like Dabo with Clemson. It was really like not till year 4, year 5 where they really started the hum. I mean, the first 4 years were kind of 4-3, 9-5, 8, 6-7. He had a losing record his third year, and that's arguably the second or third best coach in the country right now. Multiple national titles. So like even if the second best coach in the country, arguably right now with a lot of resources Clemson has, took 4 years to get it going.
Right.
Like I don't think it's unreasonable to say like 24, 25. That's when we can kind of get.
Yeah, I'm thinking like I'm already on the bowl game train.
Say
this
22.
year.
Say 22.
No,
Do it.
no. I mean, I'm a homer, but I'm not that big of a
Sure.
homer.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm thinking like 6 or 7 wins this year. Is
Tax
like
Layer
the
Bowl, baby.
expectation.
They're gonna blow past that 4-win total. Though.
I hope so.
I will
run
have a Tax Layer Bowl parade this year if they make it there. Tax Layer Bowl.
Any
Hell yeah,
bowl
let's
game,
go.
Any bowl
Let's
game.
go. All
Any
right.
bowl game. Give me that.
I like that.
So 6 or 7 wins this year, I think is pretty reasonable. With before all these transfers came in, I would have said like 4 or 5 at most.
yeah.
But and then if he keeps doing the transfer portal and he keeps recruiting at a high level, you go up by a win next year, so like 7 or 8, and then by year 3, if he's not winning like 8 or 9 games, then you gotta start having question marks. And year 4, would that be 25? Year 4? No, that'd be year.
I'm bad at it.
We'll just say okay. We'll say like 2024, he should be winning 9 or 10 games if he wants to, have a safe, if his job wants to be 100% secure, he needs to be winning 9 or 10 games by 2024, and then 2025 is national champion. Obviously.
Sure, naturally, and then we sign him to an extension, and it's all.
Yeah, if they're still going like 7-5 in year 4 or 5, we got problems.
But
that's like.
Didn't Dantonio take a huge step back in 2009 in his third year? Dantonio lost to Central Michigan. I was at that game.
Same. Yeah.
Didn't we win the Big Ten in 2009?
No, that was 10.
That when we won the share against Penn State in the last game, 9-3.
10. Yeah.
2009. I was at the Central
game.
That was my freshman year, and I remember. I remember just being very depressed after they lost to Central Michigan. At home.
I was a senior in high school.
And I remember getting texts like Dantonio's probably done, right? Like from friends that.
That's funny.
The
flip side is Dantonio was like the 73rd highest paid coach, and Mel Tucker's like 9th. So,
that's true. That's true.
How do you think Dantonio felt when he saw the numbers come across from Mel? He probably was like, "Yeah, that's awesome. Good for him, right?"
There's no way. Yeah, it's funny. We talked about that on the show.
Right?
We talked about that. I can't remember who it was with about like it was kind of like hey, what was this? Money. He was well paid, but it's like, I don't know. No one feels bad for him at this point. Like, thanks for everything you did.
Yeah,
but those last couple of years were obviously tarnishing.
Brutal.
So let's move to another legendary Michigan State figure. Let's transition to this. The Michigan State basketball program with their pesky little coach Tom Izzo. Maybe you've heard of him. I'm a big Tom Izzo fan. Speaking of commissioned paintings and framed pictures, also well represented in our space here.
I've already stole 2.
Yeah. You got your U-Haul.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about, obviously, I'm sure we're all Tom Izzo
Love that
guys.
picture. Love that picture.
For open transparency here, my license plate is literally TM Izzo. So I don't know if this is the most objective show that you'll ever hear on Tom Izzo. But look, I want to talk about Tom Izzo's timeline, and let's just look at it comparatively. Tom Izzo is going to turn 67 years old in the middle of next season, and 67, you can go past it. Roy Williams, though, just retired at age 70. Judd Heathcote, Izzo's mentor, retired at age 68. Bo Ryan, longtime nemesis at Wisconsin, retired at age 68. Coach K, by the time he's done, will be 75. He's a little bit on the older end of that spectrum. I know Izzo is on record as saying he doesn't want to go anywhere near 80. That was a quote from like 10, 15 years ago. He's like, no, I'm not going to go near 80. So I don't think he's going to be there 10 more years. Where do you land on this? Is the end near? Are we looking at the twilight? Is this last year, second to last year? We'll start with you, Matt. What do you think? How much more Izzo are we in for?
No, so I never made this on the record. Many years ago, I had the thought that, okay, he's going to retire when his kid goes through the program, which that sounds smart on the surface. However, I also tie that in with, and Imani Bates comes, one and done, which would have been the same year.
So that blanket already came undone.
We've got 2 things going wrong here, is that Steven Izzo can be here for 3 more years with the free COVID year, and I don't know if you guys caught the wind about Imani Bates.
Is he not?
He's not. I'm glad you're sitting down, Connor. He's not coming, so yeah, I'm sorry, bud. I think it is near. I think it's 2 to 3 years away, and listen, I clown and troll Coach K for using name, image, likeness in the transfer portal for being a reason to step down.
You mean it.
But honestly, I can see it, Like, I speak from a guy who doesn't like change myself.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine doing something for 2 decades or like Coach K, 8 decades like he did, right? And all of a sudden out of nowhere, the transfer portal is buzzing. There's 1,000 names in it every year. NIL, it's almost like the transfer portal. It's not like there's a slow, gradual build up. And it's like, okay, you can learn along the way here. It happens. NIL, when whoever, I'm not a political guy, whoever signs the signature, senator, president, who the hell knows? Whenever that gets signed, it just starts. It's open season. It's the OK Corral out there. And that kind of is what happened with the transfer portal. It was a slower build-up, I guess, but man, very steep climb.
Yeah.
So, as an old guy, like, I get it. Oh, as a young guy, I think I'd be bothered by that. So I could totally see how, you know what? I'm 60 whatever years old. I don't want to learn how to deal with NIL. I don't want to be swimming in the transfer portal trying to recruit my own players that are on my team right now.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, behind the curtain, I will clown Coach K and I will continue to do so. But I got to be real too. This will shock you. Me, yeah, I know.
Well, you got a little frisky on Twitter about this.
I get
Coach
frisky.
K thing. We actually pulled that. I laughed. So our audience knows. Yeah, you said you were a little fired up. So let's have Ben throw that one up there. Sure. Because you make me laugh a lot.
Show the receipts, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, we could have pulled any number. You had a couple.
Oh, no.
So Jeff Goodman talks about this. So this
talk about this.
This was yesterday. Jeff Goodman says this is about Coach K. He's obviously nearing the end of his career.
Yeah, sure.
But name, image, and likeness coming into college basketball and the transfer portal being out of control definitely sped up his timeline. This is a source close to Coach K, according to Jeff Goodman. And your response with the quote tweet was, right, because his roster's loaded with constant top 5 classes can't possibly match up with everyone using transfers.
The millisecond everyone else gets to use their advantage, like, oh, I'm out. Like, he used like how's the hair looking, by the way? Horrible? Good. All right.
Fantastic.
He's he uses the clout of being the Olympic national coach for a while, Oh yeah, you're a recruit. You like Kobe Bryant. I'm getting on the horn right now. Okay, sure. He earned his way onto that Olympic team. I have an agenda here that I'm trying to promote. It's once everyone else can start using clout, start using their brand, start legally paying players. Oh, allegedly. You got a lawyer in the room, so I'm good on that. Now it's like, oh, I'm out. Like, okay, Coach. I don't know why I hate him.
He's very hateable.
He is very hateable, but
he's phony.
He's got the face.
He's very phony.
Well, yeah, the rat face doesn't help.
And you could have called this retirement tour from a mile away. Like, Roy Williams steps aside at the end of the year. Tom Izzo just said today that he wouldn't do a retirement tour.
Because he's a class act.
He is a class act, but I gotta say, like, he likes the attention too. Who are we kidding?
Well, yeah.
I'm actually surprised that he's not doing a retirement tour. Coach K, please.
Coach K's doing the Queen wave on the way
I'm
out.
shocked that he's not doing like a 3-year retire. Like, oh, I'm gonna retire in 2025. Like, oh, save me with that.
Like, wherever you stand on the paying players, not paying players thing is really irrelevant. But I don't know if you guys. I don't know if you guys remember. There was like a week, maybe even in the same like day. But they released his MasterCard commercial, and he's like, holding up the I think it was MasterCard. But he was like, it was either that day or that week. It was within that same kind of bubble. He was talking about all the reasons why players shouldn't be paid, and like, even if that's your stance, which is fine. Like, there's arguments for both sides, but like, maybe couch that for like, once that commercial's on its 3rd or 4th run, it was like the commercial debuts. I use MasterCard,
get out of here,
cha-ching. But these guys can't get paid. So it's like, if you're going to end up with this position of like, don't pay the players, like, okay, whatever. Maybe like put it off for a week. Like, let that commercial run a couple times. Well, wait till it's like on Friends reruns before.
Sure.
It's in prime time. Wait
for
a
TV commercial, the airtime. Yeah, that's right.
The Coach K thing. I mean, for the record, I'm like a Spartan and Tar Heel, so I couldn't possibly have more contempt for Duke in that program. And when I got into UNC for business school, my brother gave me a gift. It was why Duke sucks, or all the reasons Duke sucks, or something like that. And that's on my shelf by the bar you guys filled up your cups at. So I mean, believe me, I hate him as much as anybody, but I'm curious because straight gin.
Straight. No ice cubes.
So well, here's the connection with Izzo, and this came out. This would have been up on the screen. This came out at least to us like a couple hours ago, and Ben, you should see the shit I gave him to prepare with like 10 hours notice as it is. But this was Tom Izzo today on the Tiki and Tyranny show, asked about the Coach K and retirement, and kind of where do you stand now? Like, what's your timeline looking at? And he says he's not going to get into specific timelines, and it's not imminent, but he admits he's getting concerned about my profession. It's the meter. When the problem meter overrides the enjoyment meter, then it's time to go. Important to note that this is in the context of stuff that they were talking about with Coach K and transfer portal and name and likeness. So Izzo, even if he's not walking out the door now, seems to have the same issues that led Coach K to walk out the door. I don't know how that affects him, but when he says things like, it's all about that meter, and when the scales are tipped, that's when it's time to go, and I don't like what I'm seeing, to me, we're on the Steven Izzo 2 to 3 year timeline. That's kind of where I think that's reasonable. Is that fair?
I mean, I've heard when I was in college, I heard like 3 or 4 years then, and that was like 8 years ago.
I didn't believe that then. I believe it now, though.
I have a hard time seeing him want to hang it up, because wasn't it last year where he was like, "Oh, I'm enjoying it. Like I don't have like any timeline."
What
like
he this year's group revitalized me.
Yeah, like something like that.
Final Four team 2 years ago.
But
it was one of those two teams.
Did this year's team bring him back down? Like
If this year's team revitalized him, we have some problems.
Right.
I mean,
he's a masochist at this point.
I think it was 2019 for the record.
I think he's so hell bent on getting number 2 that we might not see him really think about retiring until he gets like to that next Final Four and he's on the verge of like, maybe he makes the national title game and he loses. Maybe he's just like, all right, like I just can't do it.
All
like,
I could.
Yeah. So this past year, I might have retired after this past year. That was just a nightmare. But he's got a good class coming in. He potentially could have a good next year. There's a bunch of guys on the board, and they'll probably have like a 5-person recruiting class. The Steven Izzo thing makes sense. Leave when your kid leaves. I get it.
How poetic,
Yeah, but like,
beautiful.
Is that really the one thing that's keeping him at Michigan State? I don't think so.
I don't think it's the one thing, but it would be a neat sort of exit point.
It ties it in.
Yeah, we could just have Steven Izzo on the staff as like a grad assistant, and then they go out together after they win a national championship.
Yeah, whatever. To me, the longer the better.
Yeah.
And we mentioned 2019, and you mentioned you used the term he's hell bent on getting that second one, which is a perfect transition.
Mm.
So we pulled this quote from, it was the eve of the Final Four. It was like 2 days before the game against Texas Tech. So we're into April 2019, just over 2 years ago. This is from Tom Izzo that day. I need a second national title to validate my career. The more I keep talking about that second title, it puts you in a smaller fraternity of coaches who have done it. And he says later in this article, which we didn't pull, that he openly acknowledges this was a deviation from where he had been 5 years prior, where he used to say, and you can find those quotes as well, he used to say, I don't worry about that. Of course I want it. It's important, but like I don't need that for validation. He has landed where a lot of Michigan State fans have and where a lot of people have nationally. Look, you get into that list. If you go after 1950, because we looked this up, the amount of guys that have, and we're like beyond, I think maybe it's 1960, we're like get out of the Adolph Rupp type stuff. Mm-hmm. The list of guys that have at least 2 is only 10. If you want to talk about everyone that has at least 1, now you're talking about a much longer list and some less impressive names, guys that got fired like 2 years after. UConn, the guy that beat us. Kevin Ollie. Yeah. Thank you. It's like, is Kevin Ollie up there with Coach K? He is right that you get distinguished. So he transitioned. He used to say, no, I don't need that. Now, this is 2 years ago, and I believe it's the last time until today that he spoke on this at all with that second national title. He now thinks, as do I, doesn't mean he needs it to be considered great. Doesn't mean he needs it to get in the Hall of Fame. He's already in the Hall. But to be in that upper air where you're mentioned with Coach K, Roy Williams, John Wooden's a little extreme. Mm-hmm. I think he does need it. He thinks he needs it. His legacy needs it. Do you agree with that? Let's start with you, Matt.
From the national perspective, yeah, probably. Just like you said, you listed all the names perfectly. But from me, and I don't even feel like this is a homer thing to say. Like, I just feel like I'm really stepping out here. I think it's a rational thing to say. You know me, I don't do a lot of rational speak here. Gosh. But, like, 8 Final Fours, man, there's something to be said for that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure, he didn't bring it home in 7 of them. But
he failed 7 times.
Right.
Especially on Saturday. Like, we almost never even get to Monday. 09 being the one exception. in a non-title year.
That was rough.
Of course, yeah, when you're playing an NBA team, basically. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about getting there, though, 8 times. If settling for one national championship be considered great is being a loser, then I'm the biggest loser in the world. Then, like, I'm only one person. He cemented himself in greatest to me, obviously, but like, will he be up with the Coach K's necessarily? Probably not. I mean, but you're with your other group of guys.
If he wins like 8 straight from now until he's 75 and then retires.
Oh, you said you said said like your idea of a loser. That's not really. No one is saying that.
Oh no, of course.
But I mean, like to get in that stratosphere.
Right, yeah.
I think he does need it. You don't think so? You think he could kind of ride off into the sunset on his resume now and still be?
He's on the board. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he is with Coach K or anything. I mean, that's definitely a lot to shoot for. But as like for the word great, was he a great coach? I think that's what I get hung up on. I'm a words guy, and like elite coaches. So any guy that gets to a Final Four 8 times, takes home 1 national title, sure. Mm-hmm. And you also gotta look at the Final Fours too, like. 2015, like he no business being there.
No,
I wouldn't say he failed there. And I'm going to say this part quietly, but you also have like 2013 when you probably should have been there anyway. But you know what? Luckily, there's no banner to show for it. Yeah, that's right. So, anyway, you've been there 8 times. You really, really had some great runs in some of those, like 05 when they had to beat Duke and Kentucky to even get there.
Yeah.
Beating, I don't know, just rinky-dink Duke with 3 top 8 draft picks.
Shannon Brown, Paul Davis team.
I mean,
that team was
so I know it's not the natty, but man, 8 Final Fours, that sits okay with me. And like, he doesn't need a second natty to validate anything with. I don't want to speak for all state fans, obviously, but
it's you. For you.
I think that he's already in the conversation as one of like top 5 coaches, and there's really not a debate against it. Nobody can really like argue against, people will say, oh, he's not top 5. He hasn't won a championship since 2000. It's like, okay, but how many other coaches active coaches have won more than 1 championship?
Yeah.
How many Big Ten coaches have won since his?
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like the tournament string too should be talked about as well, right?
Well, that too.
That's a sneaky, like, fun stat to have. But like, even in Tom Izzo's worst years, I'm still in the party, baby.
Yeah.
I'm still here, baby. That's right.
Although some say the team didn't make the tournament this year, but
I heard our name on Selection Sunday. Did you guys?
I did.
Okay, validated.
I like when the selection committee guy comes out like on national TV and is like, "Yeah, we're looking at the TV appeal for that playing game, and UCLA, Michigan State. That's going to get a lot of eyeballs." And you see the guy kind of pause right after it was out of his mouth.
The winner of that was going to the Final Four no matter what. We all knew.
That's right.
It's like, probably shouldn't have said that. The guy openly admitted Michigan State didn't belong on that line.
That exact game and the fact that UCLA went to the Final Four is also a reason why I don't think it's a total failure if Izzo doesn't win another one. The NCAA tournament is the most ridiculous, like, championship decider of any sport. 64 teams. And this team that barely made it in, UCLA, they struggled in the Pac-12 at the end of the season. I think they lost like 6 of 7 or some ridiculous.
Oh yeah,
they were terrible.
They
were terrible.
They were not good.
People were mad they were even in.
Yeah. I didn't think they were gonna. I didn't think they should have made it. But they go to the Final Four, and they have a chance to beat Gonzaga, or was it Gonzaga?
Yeah, they were beaten by Jalen Suggs at the buzzer.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of why Izzo not winning a second wouldn't be a total failure. But like, if I'm Izzo, obviously, that's what I need for validation. 21 years ago, you're probably thought in your own mind, you're like, am I washed up? Like, I can't get past the Final Four. I can't make it to Monday night. For him, I think it's more of a personal thing. Like, he's probably set that goal since 2000.
No doubt.
Like, I'm going to win a second one. Whatever happens after that's just gravy. And he hasn't won the second one, so now it's eating away at him. And he probably put it off talking about it for so long. I think you said, like, since 2015, he, like, said it wasn't a big deal or whatever. He was lying, 100% lying.
I think so. I agree.
100% lying. Over a decade from winning your first one, and you were a young coach when you won your first one, that's eating at you from the day you held that trophy until that moment. I mean, it's been eating at him, and good for him for finally admitting that it's been on his mind, and he needs that. So.
I was at Michigan State in that period for 2009 and 2010. And I've always said the 2009 team was my favorite Michigan State team ever, football or basketball.
Gotcha.
And you look at their road, their path, and look, like, call it sour grapes if you want. I don't care. That team and what they did as a 2 seed was so impressive. the Pac-10 tournament champion USC team, a very good USC team. We were bailed out by Travis Walton, of all people in that game. People forget he
Sharpshooter.
Yeah,
That's right.
Guy, the game of his life, and bailed us out. Defending national champion and still very good, Cole Aldrich, 3rd seed Kansas. Mm-hmm. Then you beat the number 1 overall seed Louisville in the Elite Eight. That number 1 overall seed in the whole thing. Yeah. You played another 1 seed in UConn.
I shoot to beat.
Beat them.
That was a crazy.
And then you played another 1 seed.
Yeah.
And one of the best 1 seeds in the last 25 years in UNC. So you played 3 straight 1 seeds, one of whom is one of the best 10 in the last quarter century. They're on every list you can find. And even before that gauntlet of 3, you played the defending national champion Kansas and the Pac-10 champion USC team. That was very frisky. That team, really, there's a lot of years where that team wins the whole fucking thing.
Darrell Summers dunk was just chills still. Chills.
Stanley Robinson, that fourth field was rocking.
Yeah. Literally
but you look at, call me petty, the Michigan basketball run when they went to the national title game a few years ago and then eventually got beat by the one good team they played in that 6-game run. Sorry.
It's not petty.
No, I just turned the wheels in my head to think of,
You guys are a few years younger than me at least. I mean, the kids say ratioed. I hate to. I think I was.
I'm 17, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Ratioed is the term. I got ratioed into oblivion when I was pointing this out. But look, I tagged everything with hey guys, Michigan State fan here, openly admit that I'm bitter because I have seen Michigan State draw these gauntlets and have to go through them. Yeah. I saw us lose national titles because we didn't get this run where we've had multiple, in my opinion, teams where if we had that path, we would have won the whole thing. I think the 2009 team beats that very good Villanova team, but it's just they're not all created equal. But Izzo has had, the point is, and to put a bow on this, he's been very close, even if he hasn't gotten to that Monday. Just sometimes you got to be lucky. 2010, if you ever see Tom Izzo out in public or walking around the stadium or you go to Midnight Madness, here's my advice, because it gets a great response. I've done it twice. Just ask him. Don't even say hi. Just go up to him and say, hey, Tom, or hey, Coach, or whatever you want to introduce, whatever you want to call him. Just say, hey, did Gordon Hayward foul Draymond Green in 2010 in the Final Four? This guy's face lights. I've done it twice. First time he goes, fucking course. It was a fucking course. I was down in the Bahamas for the Battle for Atlantis.
That's it was the first.
It was a little Bill Simmons. Yeah, I was in the front row at the NBA Finals. Unintentional flex, but no, just to give the context. He was just walking around, and that was I think it was actually the second time. But he goes, "Oh, fucking course." And the other time too was actually in East Lansing. But he gives this great. He's so mad about that. He knows, and it's funny if. Hayward admitted it in the post-game press conference. They asked him, hey, did you get his hand there? He's like, they didn't call it, So he's been on the doorstep, but I guess we'll leave it that we disagree because, look, he doesn't need it for me to love him. He doesn't need it to be great. He's already in the Hall of Fame. That would go a long way.
It'd be nice.
That's kind of where I am with him. So we're talking about Tom Izzo, timeline transition. So the natural sort of progression of this conversation goes into whether it's 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever. What happens next when he's gone? Let's say he's gone in 3 years. You're looking at a 3-decade run of this guy being here. It's a long time anywhere, especially in this day and age. So we're not going to name the source, but it's a guy I trust, a guy I think both of you probably know. But there was a source that we did this whole graphic I put up there with the Justin Tind episode, and we're going through here's all the guys, Nate Oates and Dwayne Stevens, all the guys that might replace Tom Izzo when he moves on. And I get this text message from the guy, and I will throw that up there. We're not going to attribute it, but we go through this whole list. Here's the quote. You went through all these names, and none of them were right. You missed the most obvious one. It's Drew Valentine. MSU loves him. Some informal chatter has already taken place. I think he's the guy. That's an anonymous source talking about Drew Valentine, not Denzel. his brother Drew, who was a grad assistant in East Lansing. Obviously, his brother, a player of the year, famously for Michigan State, and the newly elevated head coach for Loyola, frisky little Loyola, with their none. So, I'm curious. I guess on 2 points. One, let's get it out of the way right now. If Drew Valentine sucks at Loyola, that's like, we all know that's obviously he won't be the guy. But if he wins there, he does the same kind of shit. Oh, they make an Elite Eight. They're winning 25 games a year in their shit conference. Do you think Drew Valentine's a reasonable replacement for Tom Izzo? Because I got that text. I wasn't even thinking about Drew Valentine. This person whom I trust, I was given permission to share this on Twitter publicly, says he is not the guy, not done deal, but he is their favorite option right now. Where do you think that lands? And do you think it's crazy that they're even thinking that? Because I trust the information. Do you think it's crazy that that's where they are right now?
I mean, I'm not gonna
away,
flex too hard, but I did
Do it.
I did make a list of potential replacements for Izzo on Spartan Avenue, and Drew Valentine was on the list. And I mean, ever since the whole conversation, I think that was after Roy Williams retired, and everybody was like, "Wait, what happens if Izzo retires? Like, who do we go to?" And that's kind of why I thought of it. And Valentine was one of the more obvious ones, just because a lot of programs are going toward the youth, and they want the younger guy who's going to be there, who can connect with the recruits. And I think Duke's doing that with Shire, and it just works. And Valentine just makes sense, but we do need to give him the Tom Crean treatment a little bit here. Do you remember when Tom Crean was like, everybody's like, oh, Tom Crean's going to be the next coach.
Oh, yeah, he should be coach right now at Michigan
Exactly.
State if you asked
And
anyone
then-
15 years ago or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So 10.
And then you watched him just crumble at Indiana, and you're like, okay, hold up. We don't want Tom Crean. That's a terrible option.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like Narduzzi. Like,
Sure.
Narduzzi's
Yeah,
going to be
great
the next
call.
coach at Michigan State, and then he's kind of like very average at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, treading water at best there.
You got to kind of give it. This is perfect, because if Izzo does have 2 or 3 years left, watch and see what Drew Valentine does at Loyola for 2 or 3 years. He still has a talented roster. I'm pretty sure he's bringing back a good number of guys.
Doesn't have Krutwig though. Tell you what.
Did he transfer?
Did he go
I think he's considering.
I'm not a
transferring.
Loyola insider. I'm sorry. He'll
I
be
don't
back
either.
averaging 20 a game for all I know.
They might have.
That's on me.
But if Loyola is still the same team that they were, I mean, as a Michigan State fan, you want that. If you can succeed at Loyola, you're probably going to be pretty good at a place with more recruiting power, more money, more better facilities, all this stuff, more backing from your athletic department. I would say I would be all in on Drew Valentine if that was the route they took, and if he was successful at Loyola, absolutely.
Yeah, if he keeps his head above water, for sure, no doubt. And even if he fails there, like, listen, he's 29, 30.
Oh,
like he's a young guy, so even if you do give him like the stopgap, and Dwayne Stevens is the guy for that 3-4 year stretch, I'm gonna pause right. Apologies to whoever gets the job after Izzo, though.
Yeah.
Honestly, like you talk about an impossible job to have, like taking over for a legend like John Shire. Like, it's an awesome job.
Tough.
I don't know if it's one I want though, because
Hubert Davis, same thing.
Hubert Davis, same thing.
Yep.
You might as well write in your contract, like, you will be fired 4 years from now, like, unless you make a Final
As
Four.
long as you have a bag man, though.
Yeah, there's something to that, isn't there? So, don't get me wrong. Valentine as an option, love it, because the youth, like, you want someone with the energy that can keep up with NIL, the transfer portal, obviously connect with the kids. So,
And he knows Michigan State.
knows Michigan State a little bit here.
Yeah.
So I would love Drew Valentine, and that's a very interesting text, though, that they've already like informally talked about it. Like,
That I was blown away. It's one thing to say, "Oh, I think they like him," like not informally necessarily with him, but in house.
sure,
They're like
any conversation of it's fantastic.
They are
Yeah.
watching him.
Yeah.
Like he is their sort of soft number one. Like, hey,
Yeah.
maybe 3 years left in this
Yeah.
Izzo thing.
Nate Oates would be 1A. I think Valentine should be 1B.
To
Absolutely.
me, Nate Oates is one, and then at
Yeah.
best it's a 2.
Right. But realistically, like, Alabama's going to end up forking over some cash to keep him.
Yeah,
It's,
but come
it's
on,
so
he's gonna-
tough
he
for a
would
Power
come
5
here,
guy to
wouldn't he?
leave. I don't know. I think Power 5 guys leaving their jobs these days is damn
It's-
near impossible.
yeah.
I mean, I just don't know how much growth there is. Like, he's got a good thing going down in Alabama. I don't know how much more money MSU can offer that Alabama can't. They got.
We have Matt Ishbia.
That's true. We do got billionaire Ishbia and Dan Gilbert. I was calling Dan Campbell. With that said, too, like, I understand Nate Oates and the whole thing, like, oh, he was in Michigan, but this is one of my biggest pet peeves when Nate Oates gets up, is that, oh, he'll come back home to Michigan.
He wasn't from here.
He's not from here at all. He has no connections. Like, he taught in Romulus for 10 years. No disrespect to Romulus. Great airport there, but is he really dying to get back here and
He misses
go to
that
his
high
old
school.
time? Does he though? Like I don't know if this is necessarily a place he wants to come back to. It's romantic to come back to the place where you started from. You know, ooh, high school coach here. He's so poetic. I think he kind of likes making his millions and a great program down in Alabama.
I've heard he's been dying to buy property in Romulus for a while.
Dying to.
That's the rumor. I don't know. I think Michigan State's a far better.
Don't get me wrong.
brand.
I would
100%.
love it.
Well, whether or not he would
Nato would
actually
do it.
come, we're talking about like what your sort of preferred path would be.
Oh,
I mean, to
preferred
me,
is Nato. Yeah.
He's number one, like with a bullet. But this whole thing kind of changes because we don't know. We all agree Izzo's going to be here. Obviously, at least one more year.
Yeah.
But so it's obviously completely, and you know the person that sent me that followed up and said the same thing. It's going to depend on what Valentine actually does. That's a given. Yeah. But if he gets that thing 25 win, making noise in the tournament, I think I didn't think about it. Credit to you. I didn't see your article, but he wasn't even on my radar.
Shit, Connor.
But it was interesting, and it makes a lot of sense if he does well. That's sort of a natural. Obviously, I mean, you say Nato doesn't want to leave Alabama. That's debatable. Valentine, he'll be coming to East Lansing if they call him in his office in Loyola. So you can have him if you want him. So that's something obviously to keep an eye on. Before we move on, the Tom Crean slander's a little much. Okay,
I love Crean personally.
He won 2 Big Ten titles at Indiana. I'm not saying he was great, but like people talk about Tom Crean like he was just a total trainer. I think it was 3 Sweet 16s.
I said crumbled. It wasn't like he wasn't like a train wreck. He just crumbled slowly.
He pulled a Calvin Sampson on the program. Say it. Say it.
Calvin Sampson at that Eric Gordon team before he.
They were good until he
made too many phone. Was it like made too many phone calls?
Yeah.
I mean, they both recruited. I mean, Crean had some good players.
Could you imagine back in the day that was the worst thing you could do as a coach is call too many people?
I think that's what Sampson did. He was like calling.
Oh yeah, no, it was.
That scandal broke free. Broke out. I mean, I'd be like,
you would thought he was shipping in hookers by like the cargo freight package by.
Just suspend the guy. I remember reading that because I was in school at the time, and I'm like, they fired the fucking guy?
Right.
Like,
out of here.
Made too many phone calls? I mean, just
cold game.
Yeah.
He was working too hard.
Yeah,
I do like Crean, though. Crean's a nice guy. I met him personally. He asked me if I was a basketball recruit at one point. You like that one? Yeah, that's right. No, I met him in Florida. I was like, hey, coach, can I get a picture? He's like, yeah. You're not a recruit, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's back in the day. All 5'8", 130 pounds of me. Yeah, I'm a 4-star power forward out of California.
Everyone wanted Foster Lawyer.
Great point. I promise you I don't shoot like
that. You could kick the shit out of Foster Lawyer if that came down to it. I'll take you.
I did the surfboard though.
Yeah. Don't do it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have a 5-year-old daughter. She'd have at least a fighting puncher's chance.
She would cross him up so hard.
Yeah, come on. The guy would fall down. I don't want to talk about Foster Lawyer. I'm having a good time. So we'll leave it there. So I know.
Still open?
Is what still open?
Is your bar still open?
You want to go? You can go. You want to go before the speed round? You can refill your beverage.
No. The Foster Lawyer really set him off.
Usually people have at least 2 drinks before they sit down with me. I'm a lot to take. Let's face it. Let's be self-aware on it. Be self-aware on this program here. So we covered the 2 big things. I want to talk about Mel. I want to talk about Tom Izzo. We covered it in depth. I think our people are far better for having heard you guys speak. You're bringing on.
That's a lie.
Debatable.
You're making me feel a lot better about my Mel Tucker slapdick-ism.
Yeah.
But let's get to the fun part. I know you guys are religious viewers of the program. You have never missed an episode, so I don't have to talk about the speed round. But for those that are here for the first time, because let's face it, you guys across from me have a huge following. So maybe it's your first time with us. We do this little thing called the speed round. It's similar to word association, but they give us more than a word. They give us a couple sentences each, and we're just going to rip through it. Let's try to go fast. Don't do the Justin Rogers thing where you speak for like half an hour on each point.
Sure.
I mean, do whatever you want.
Are we going to make asses of ourselves? Is that what this is about?
Do you want to make an ass of yourself?
Absolutely.
You can do whatever you want.
I do it every day of my life.
Yeah,
What's another day? Let's go, baby.
So let's Ben, throw it up there. Let's get the first one. Let's get the first one started. So this is our speed round. We're just gonna let's start with you, Matt, every single time. So here we go. We'll start here. Your favorite March Madness moment?
It's a flex. I'm gonna be an asshole right now. I very luckily through my job, I got to go to the 2019 Final Four. I sat 3 rows from the court. My job that week, I don't have the job anymore. I should have been. My job that week was to create content with Josh Peck, and as a perk for him, he sat courtside for the game. He doesn't give a shit about Michigan State basketball, but I was with him the whole time, so I got to sit 3rd row from the court for the Texas Tech Michigan State. I feel
That was the Texas Tech one. Was your favorite moment?
Matt McQuaid was for me to that corner when he shot that
wait,
three.
wait,
I can't believe a Final Four loss
I know, me
in
neither.
a pick'em game in Vegas was your highlight.
I know.
Wow.
But here we are. I mean,
That's-
I was close
all right.
enough to like
Are you
touch
feeling
the
all right?
court, basically. What?
Are you feeling okay?
Oh, I'm feeling just fine. Yeah.
I feel
honestly.
like that
So-
game has damaged my brain.
What
You know
like-
what? I don't feel the same about the game as a lot of people do. I thought I thought Texas Tech was the better team that day.
No, just stop.
I
Just
know.
we're moving.
So
on.
Speed round. Hey, what am I talking about?
Is Connors Connors is gonna be like when Trey Burke stripped Keith Appling at Chrysler Center. That was the highlight. It wasn't March
Gordon
Madness
Hayward's
though.
foul.
It wasn't March Madness, so technically he'd be ineligible. What
Yeah,
depressing
when Wayne
moment.
Ellington started 5 for 5 from 3 in 09.
Yeah, so then not calling the
It was
foul
Middle
on
Tennessee
Gordon
for sure.
Hayward. Middle Tennessee was your
March
favorite.
Madness, what was
Okay.
the Final Four? Oh, the Duke game. Sorry, that's my quick answer.
Well, we're actually getting to that in a
thought it was
second.
the Final Four.
What
Here
was
I am.
something you actually liked? Because his answer was
I was
terrible.
he said the tournament that I was thinking. I was like, okay, maybe I'm a prisoner of the moment, but 2019 tournament when they beat Duke. I mean,
That was it.
that was March Madness moment. That's got to be up there. The Corey Lucius one, the 3-pointer at the buzzer to beat Maryland. That's up there just because like I was college age and I was like, I just remember like just being going crazy when it happened. But Cassius Winston dribbling out the clock against Duke's got to be.
Both those wins are before you on the studio
beautiful.
walls.
It's
Can we
just
play the Jim
beautiful.
Calhoun I fucked up clip? Because I read your favorite Final Four moment, not March Madness moment.
So, it's too
feel
late
like
now.
that's
Like
Making
I
an
said,
ass of
Monkey is
yourself.
out of the bottle on this one.
Got to flex though.
So
that's okay.
so this one really, I guess it could be. You could have the same answer for both. I guess I can't believe your favorite moment was the Final Four loss. Your worst March Madness.
Yeah,
moment.
so in 2019 I got to go to the final.
yeah, right.
No, worst March Madness moment. Come on, it's 2016. It has to be. I mean, it's the basic answer, but it's the obvious answer. It's the Giddy Potts factory.
Favorite in Vegas to win it that year, by the way. They were the favorite in Vegas. Michigan State was.
I'll tell you what. For a hot second, it was MSU being ranked number 2 seed in Duke's region because beers were flowing. I'm doing horrible at the speed round, by the way, but like St. Patrick's Day would just beat Michigan for a Big Ten tournament title. It's like, oh hell yeah, let's all get schlitzed to oblivion. And then, oh, we're the 2 seed against Duke. Well, there goes our chances.
I'm trying to think of a different answer than you because Middle Tennessee is so easy to pick. I mean, maybe 2013 when they lost to UConn. Maybe
That one cut.
it was just like
That's a bad
it was just
one.
like this is the team, and
Yeah.
and they just laid an egg. I gotta go with 2013 because that year they probably. I mean, 2016 they probably could have won it too.
To
They were
me,
so good.
the 2013 team is the one that got away. I know we talked about
2016 was the
09,
best
10.
like team that I can remember. 2013 was the most talented team.
I'm going with Matt's answer. 2016. Not that it's my round; it's your round. But my
win.
daughter,
You win.
the firstborn child, was like 9 days old,
Oh,
and my wife was out doing something. So the kid just would not, God bless her, would not stop crying for like 4 hours.
Could
So
have gotten her to have her speak.
yeah,
We're
well, she
thinking
can
that day.
speak now, but she was literally not even 2 weeks old. She was born like middle of March, and it's the kid just screaming.
Oh.
So I'm watching this game, and the kid screaming in my ear the whole time, and it's
Yeah,
just
me too, kid.
I stopped watching after a little bit.
It was so
I had to listen to
depressing.
the last 5 minutes on the radio that you talk about.
It was so bad. We ate shit that day for sure. So we'll move on. Let's go to the next one. 2020 MSU basketball. If COVID never happens,
That's actually low key.
Michigan State famously gets hot at the end. I went on a 20-minute, positive rant saying, I can't believe Cassius Winston finally found the one thing we never saw. One of the best players of the Izzo era, one of the best players in program history, arguably the most beloved player in the history of that program, and that's a long list. Still, the one thing he was missing was a little bit of that killer instinct. Just he wouldn't get after his guys. He had it. He was as cool as a cucumber. He wouldn't get in guys' faces if they were slacking. He found it. He was talking back to Izzo. He was vetoing timeouts. Tom Izzo's breaking his fingers trying to call a timeout. Winston ignores him, sets up a big bucket at Penn State to rally and win that game.
Tom. That's right.
And,
Yeah,
and
no way.
Winston's on the sideline screaming at Izzo. It's like, who the fuck's this guy? Like, where was this guy for the last 3.5 years?
Yeah.
The team was rolling. They win the Big Ten. The one thing that they were missing, that sort of edge, it was there for the last couple games. Everyone knows what happened. COVID hits. Tournament's canceled right on the eve of the Big Ten tournament. Let's go into an alternative universe where either a bat didn't get people sick or a lab leak didn't occur, whatever happened there. That's still being litigated. Everything just goes off without a hit. Season happens as planned. what does 2020 Michigan State basketball's end game look like? Where do they finish?
I'll tell you what didn't help was that Joel Lenardi bullshit simulated tournament where MSU wins, and it's like, keep that to yourself, because I do think that, and it's not a hot take to say, like, they had a team that could have won the national championship, but then again, what kind of gives me solace here in a weird way is that 2016 did happen. We thought that was a great team. That went horrible. Things can derail very quickly, March Madness. But with that said, that was a national title kill.
It was.
I'm gonna cry while Connor.
Bar is still open.
The bar still open.
Okay, where you in here, Connor?
I agree. It was a national title contender team. It's hard to say because they were so bad for a while that season. I think the beginning of Big Ten play, everybody was just like, what the heck is wrong with this team? And then, like you said, Cassius found his voice. The team kind of came together at the perfect time and caught fire. And sometimes that's really all you need to go make a national title run. And Cassius was the perfect leader for that. Tillman would have been a perfect, a Robin to Cassius's Batman. I think Final Four, they were a Final Four team for sure. They were a Final Four team.
And like, Matt said, you never know. Anything can happen any year, but the way I
tell myself to make me feel better.
Well, here's the thing that'll make you put your head back down. They had, and this is where I always kind of put it, they had as good of a chance as anybody to win it all.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's whether they would or not, who knows. But that's what it hurts when you have a team that there's no super 2009 UNC Anthony Davis 35-2 Kentucky team. There were good, very good teams. No dragons in that layer. They were as good as anybody, as good of a chance to win as anybody. That was reflected by the odds makers as well. So they lost one of their best chances, and it sucks. Let's face it. Mm-hmm. So let's move on. Let's get into something more.
Is there a happy question? Yeah, there we go.
Here we go. Well, let's lighten it up a little bit. You're watching a big game in East Lansing. You're planning ahead, right? So you can call it a bowl game. Let's throw back to your college days at Michigan State. Sure. Where are you watching it? Some people say, this bar, that bar, this restaurant, that restaurant. Some people say, my frat house, if that's their thing. Where are you watching a big game during your college days?
Yeah, student section, but if it's like the Big Ten championship game,
I'm talking. You're not at the game.
Sure, then that's the duplex on 323 Spartan Avenue, baby. That's
so
right, Spartan Avenue.
Spartan
One time
Avenue.
for it. There we go.
Thanks for the shout out.
Yeah, we had a mighty fine watch party for the OSU game. That was simply awesome. So yeah, me and my brother sprayed beer on each other in the backyard as if we were the two defensive ends that game that had an impact on it whatsoever, but. No, man, that was awesome. We had like 30 people at our house. We knew maybe 15 of them.
Yeah.
15. You people. Please don't steal anything.
Where's Connor watching a big game?
But you're welcome here.
we would always have like a get together at our apartment. We lived at Abbott Place when it was still a thing. I don't think it's a thing anymore. If I was to go to a bar, though, I was always a Dublin guy. Always Dublin.
One time for that. Yeah,
always
Dublin is forgotten.
The Irish guy immediately.
No, it's not even that. It was just like the best experience of everything. Like it wasn't too sloppy. It was perfect. And Dublin has, they have enough TVs for everybody.
Sure do.
It was it would have been the perfect spot for if I was to go out to a game. I'm not going to Rick's, but.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, Rick's is a nightmare. That's, again, another thing you can do an hour on.
Yeah.
Anytime you're at a bar where the stalls don't have doors. Did they have doors by the time you guys matriculated at that university?
Yeah, but that didn't deter some people from pooping on the dance floor.
That's
my last time at
You
Rick's.
think I was going
That's
to
the most
bathroom
hygienic thing that's ever happened at Rick's. Yeah, when I was there, like they literally didn't have doors on the stall. It's like
one big community.
First of all, who wants to do that business at Rick's?
They didn't even do that in Mount Pleasant.
That's another story. Anyway, let's move on. We're off the path.
I'm doing bad at the skate around.
Well, I'm not helping. I should get better control of the show. Most overrated thing at Michigan State University, and I'll jump in with one word and then I'll throw it back to you. To me, Burgerama, overrated.
Yeah, that was on the top of my head too. But wow, Connor, do you have one at the top of your head right now?
Overrated?
About either the school, the university experience, something
the
like
Red
that.
Cedar. Everybody talks about loving the Red Cedar. The thing is disgusting. The thing is absolutely. There's bikes just chilling in it. It's just dirty.
All Travis Walton's bikes just at the bottom of it.
There's some
the
like
Red
limbs
Cedar
floating down.
Yeah,
there.
we love to flex the fact
Z,
that we have a river going through campus, but it's disgusting.
That's a good answer. I mean, it's literally in the fight software.
I know mine.
Yeah,
I know mine. It's a boring one. It's the Sni-Fi cafeteria.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I was like, oh, you gotta get the Sni-Fi. And I was there. I was like, where's the rest of it?
Just a poor man's Brody.
It's a boring. Oh, you know what? And
Oh,
this
don't
is how old I am too. The tennis court tailgates don't do it for me.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
That was too much.
I
That's
agree.
because
I
I'm,
agree
I'm
with
probably
that.
lame though, and just
No.
washed.
There was just like a big. It was just like a big nothing
I think I'm
burger.
just a washed up white guy in his late 20s.
No, you want to enjoy your tailgating experience. That wasn't enjoyable.
I mean, I don't want to stereotype, but whenever I would go to the tennis courts, like with my girlfriend at the time, like it was all like the frat guys, and I mean they were just like, you know, basically sexually harassing every woman.
You're saying that they
I've
aren't
been there
good
twice,
guys?
and both of them like, oh god, like.
And the music, you can't hear yourself. Like you're
it's too much. Like I'm not a prude, but like, come on, like can I walk this block without my girlfriend? You know,
maybe they were
nice
catcalling
ass.
you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I do have a fantastic figure, but especially back then, you should have seen me. Everyone was ripped when they were younger, right? That's how it goes. I think that's the rule.
Yep.
Yeah, to me, Burgerama overrated. My buddies would be like, "Yeah, $1 burger." It's like I can get a $2 burger at Peanut Barrel, and it'll be better.
Not wait an
Tony,
hour
Tony
and a half in
Paul's
line.
spot. Tony Paul and I love the Peanut Barrel, by the way. But it's gonna be $1 more and not wait an hour.
Yeah.
So it's like, what is an
I
hour
agree
of
with
your
that.
time worth? So and they're like a block away. So like this Burgerama thing, fucking overrated.
Yeah.
So let's move on. Similar topic. Most underrated thing at Michigan State.
Dublin.
You think Dublin's underrated? I think it's properly.
Probably rated.
I don't think
I
enough
know
people
it
talk
probably
about
is.
Dublin.
Oh, that's okay. It's your round.
But that's not my pick.
What's your pick?
You know what doesn't get enough respect?
Talk to me.
And it's not that it's underrated. It's just disrespect.
Yeah.
Is Mena's.
Wow. Talk about
Isn't
that.
Mena's gone?
Wow.
Yeah,
Gone
Mena's. It
down in
might
its
be
prime.
gone.
Menace was gone down in its prime.
It might have. Is it gone?
Unlawfully, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
it's totally
that
gone.
was the thing. When you were there, did you ever have Mena's?
Oh, all the time.
And it was great, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And people now are like Mena's, like, but like obviously Conrad's is better, but Mena's, like, when I was there, Conrad's wasn't a thing my freshman year, and then it became a thing. But Mena's was like the go-to, and then when Conrad's became a thing, everybody's like, "Oh, Mena's is disgusting." I was like,
"Oh, Mena's
did you
is
lose
good.
taste buds or what?"
Yeah.
Oh, loaded dubs.
Yeah.
CT dubs.
Have you
Chicken
ever had
tender
Mena's
dubs.
or Conrad's like for dinner sober? Like that was a weird experience.
Oh yeah,
That was
you
crazy for
can't
me.
be sober for it.
I did it once senior year. I was like, this doesn't.
You don't
sit
do
right
it to
with me.
enjoy
This
it.
is
You do it
weird.
for the experience.
Tony Paul and I have the same exact palate because like our two favorite places in East Lansing were like to eat were the Peanut Barrel and Flat's Grill. Rest in peace. Flat's Grill was, I think, probably gone. I mean, they didn't pay their taxes, so they were gone.
Taxes,
they
schmaxes,
were awesome. Like, but the two big things when I were there were Mena's. Like that's just what people talk
It's
about.
huge.
Mena's and Gumby's Pokey Sticks.
Gumby's,
which
Goombas now.
became Goombas, but I think even Goombas is gone now.
They called them Poke Me Sticks.
Yeah, Poke Me
Poke
Sticks.
me sticks.
Yeah, circumvent that copyright, baby. Yeah, it's
Yikes.
ridiculous. So let's move on, Ben. What do we got next? Scott Bell. This is interesting.
Overrated or
I
underrated?
this is
from
this
whose
is not,
standpoint.
this
though?
isn't overrated or underrated. Can I set the topic, please? Philip?
Sure.
Just kidding. Scott Bell, though. Scott Bell. Some people have no idea who Scott Bell is. Okay, Scott Bell.
Normal people don't know who he is.
If you're
right?
on Twitter, though.
Yeah. If you have a life that doesn't revolve around Twitter, you don't know who
So
he
this
is.
is not an overrated, underrated, but I've taken some heat like over the last couple years. I mean, I have stuff like back to 2017 where it's like, this is this guy. If you don't know him, he basically openly, he's a Michigan alum living in Texas. He's like a professional reporter for like the Dallas.
I think he's an editor at the Dallas Morning News.
Dallas Morning News. But he's just this character, and he completely shreds Michigan State like maybe on a daily basis. I mean, it's at least like 300 days on the calendar that he rips them. And I actually think like he's kind of clever usually. And I think I'm the one Spartan that like I've invited him on my show. He said next time in town, like we're gonna try to work it out. I'm like the one. I'm
Trio
trying.
show? Is that what we're getting set
Can we
up
come for that one?
You want? Wait. Well, it depends what you're gonna do. I guess. That's
No. I have a truce with. I mean, I have a truce. With
I
Scott
like
Bell.
him. I think he's effective at what he does. I think people in our fan base are like, why does this guy bother you so much? He wins when you get all people just quote tweet him and bomb him all the time.
Sure.
I think I've seen you call him out. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think
It's like an annual thing for us. It's like Groundhog's Day for us. Me and Scott. We got to get our bullshit out of the way to each other once a year, and then we're good.
You're good for
365 days.
Yeah.
That's usually the case. No, like as a persona, of course I hate him because I do the same shit, and I'm sure Michigan fans would hate me too. But
You're the
like,
yin and yang.
yeah, of course. But like as a person, I can't speak. I don't know the guy personally, but I just think it's ironic, right, that you build a persona off Rip Michigan State, calling them little brother. Like I think it's weird that perhaps maybe a little brother thing would be building a persona on your second most hated rival because their success is only slightly less embarrassing than it is against their. So no, Scott Bell as a person, sure, he's a fine guy. I'm sure he is. Got a family, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's got a family.
Well, that's a good point. I'm sorry. I meant like children and all that, but like, of course I don't like him as a persona.
Yeah.
The same way I wouldn't like me either if I was in his shoes.
Yeah, he's like that he doesn't want to be liked by Michigan State fans. That's the whole reason his account exists.
That's why I kind of respect that.
At him. I mean,
right, you got to respect it to a point. And for a while, like I hated Scott Bell, and then I kind of we kind of built this truce over the years because he used to like quote tweet some like prediction I had on Spartan Avenue that was like it turned out to be completely wrong. Just like okay, like these are called bold predictions for a reason.
Oh,
but he would like
everybody has.
Yeah, he would take screenshots and his followers would be in my mentions for like I'm not even kidding, like weeks. Yeah. Weeks. His following is crazy. I used to hate him. Now, I mean, like he's a fine guy. I've talked to him like behind the scenes. He's a nice guy. But like obviously he built that persona to have Michigan State fans hate him. So he's doing a good job.
I like Scott Bell. I'm looking forward to having him on if he makes time for our little podunk show here in the basement. Wayne's World for Michigan State sports here. So we'll finish here and then we'll get you the hell out of Dodge. I know you're desperate to get out of my company.
Oh, can't wait.
So this is something we're revisiting, and I did this bit, and this will finish here. I think it's a good place to end.
This is a speed round.
You can get a little deeper into it. So I want you to, and you're welcome to not just grade it, but also speak to it and why you're giving the grade and what you do differently. We originally did this with David Klein, DK Spartan, the Wanderers Spartan.
Great guy.
The best Michigan State basketball follow there is DK.
Yes.
Great guy.
Yes.
So I threw this to him. This is my all-time Izzo era MSU lineup. So they have to have played under Tom Izzo. There's no Magic Johnson or Greg Kelser here. And here's the circumstance that we set it up. You are going into a NCAA tournament. Just pick your poison, which one, doesn't matter. And you have a gun to your head, you got to win 6. So it's not like who's going to win, who are the 6 best. Mm-hmm. You got to put together a 5-man starting lineup and your 6-man. Who you taking if you have to win the national title? Are the triggers pulled and your blood's all over the floor? And here's where I put it. Point guard, controversial right off the bat. Mateen Cleaves over the obvious omission, Cassius Winston. My starting point guard is Mateen Cleaves. Shooting guard, Jason Richardson. Small forward, Denzel Valentine. Power forward, Draymond Green. At center, Xavier Tillman. My 6-man is Gary Harris. And before you get into yelling at me, I am fully aware that my team is very small. Like my setter's 6'8", my power forward 6'6". I think these are Draymond Green and Xavier Tillman defending in the post. Have fun, everybody else. Grade my roster here. Did I miss the mark? Is this an A+? What do you think of the list here?
God, like there's so many great players. It's hard to like give anyone a bad grade. I mean, right? That's tough to look at that and be like,
nothing egregious.
C-. No, nothing egregious at all. No, but I would go Tum Tum 1. I think we can all agree. No.
Tum Tum.
I would go watch yourself. I would go Cassius. I mean, tell me if I'm prisoner of the moment right now.
No, I agree.
No, but with the second guy I'm going to bring up. Because I
don't
like
do it.
shooting.
Don't do it.
Bryn Forbes.
No, that's bad.
I mean, if you're looking for like a guy to shoot 60% from 3 in a tournament, yeah, sure, why not?
I know.
But he could also shoot 30% and shoot you out of the
But
tournament.
who are you cutting? Are you cutting Gary Harris or are you cutting Jason
I feel
Richardson?
sick about it, but I guess I'm cutting Jay Rich, right? I mean, and I feel sick about that.
I'm going to
walk that back, actually. I'm going to walk that back. I'm walking that back.
Jason Richardson shot like 42% from 3. Like, so he
stays on the starting 5. He stays on the starting 5. I can't cut Valentine.
The thing with Gary Harris for the 6-man is he was a very good college scorer, but also could defend his was the best perimeter defender in the conference when he was there.
Bryn Forbes is my 6th guy.
I'm thinking like Charlie Bell is a 6th guy.
Oh, that's true.
Charlie's a great answer too.
Underrated
Bell,
guy. Yeah, Charlie Bell he had a good NBA career too. He loved, wasn't he 6-man at State? He was 6-man on the.
Well, Morris Peterson was, but then Charlie Bell when Cleves graduated. So Mo Pete was technically the 6-man, but he was like the 7th. But yeah, he had he was
great. Yeah.
I'm between 2 guys for center, and Tillman's awesome.
I know who you're gonna say.
Who?
Jaron.
Yeah, I'm between Jaron and Payne.
The most naturally talented player to ever play at Michigan State.
You talk about rim protection, that's what I go for. It's just the rim protection alone.
I love Jaron, but over Tillman, you got to win. You got. Who do you trust more? You're playing Duke, a really good Duke team.
What
about
your
life on the line? Give me Tillman.
With 3. top 8 draft picks by any chance?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that-
Oh, we actually saw that. Which
Tillman then.
which guy won that game?
What about like a Paul Davis?
Oh no! Oh, you're speaking my language now.
Yeah.
That's right.
Like Paul
Love
Davis was
PD,
so
baby.
good around the rim.
Extreme. Paul Davis is one of those guys. Like Goran Suton was kind of the lesser version of this.
Was good.
Like, well, especially his senior year in that tournament was the regional MVP in that aforementioned Louisville, Kansas duo.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like the Paul Davis thing, he's one of those guys that gets such a bad rap. Like he got shit on. People would complain about him.
Good.
Well, he had weird body language, but the guy was very good. And even if you just look at the numbers, like if you go back, it was like 17 and 10.
Right.
Was that
He was a
three
first
guys in
round
the
draft
country
pick.
do that every year.
Yeah, he was a first round draft pick.
For the Clippers. So I don't know, but so you just what? I get an A-. You don't.
No,
like,
that's a good team. That team might make the Final Four.
Unless you really like screw it up.
Oh,
like,
that
I
team
feel like
wins
everyone
all.
gets a B plus A minus on their starting 5. Like,
No,
I don't
yeah.
think anyone has a perfect.
There were no.
That team's a lot
egregious-
better than 09 UNC. That's an all-time
Shannon Brown
team.
is a shooting guard. Might have been
Shannon's fine. The reason I like my
Tough to
six
leave
there,
Galen off,
all 6 of those guys are going to make an open 3-pointer. Like
Yeah.
Tillman,
Garrett.
all 6 are get. So like you can't leave anybody open.
Draymond in college. College Draymond would make a 3-pointer.
Yeah.
Not this Draymond that we
Well,
saw.
Pockets of his Warriors career. Pockets of his Warriors career.
Well, if we were in the college basket, I wouldn't have picked Mateen Cleaves. Or in the NBA
Well, yeah,
basket, I
that's
wouldn't have
true.
taken
Yeah,
Mateen
totally.
Cleaves. I would just bet on Cassius Winston having a better
It's tough to
NBA
argue
career.
against a point guard that brought the natty home, though. I mean,
Yeah.
so like, Mateen Cleaves might not be
But
the
like
right guy.
we were young to where we were like, I mean, Mateen was probably like up until Cassius. We're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, Mateen's the GOAT point guard.
Sure.
And then Cassius came along. We're like, this dude's incredible.
I will not stand for the Drew Neitzel slander.
Drew Neitzel was
GOAT.
good. Drew Neitzel,
I
Kalen
love
Lucas
Neitzel.
were good.
Here's the argument, and this is the most controversial one with DK as well. I
Sure.
believe he chose Winston, but here was my argument for Mateen. I think Winston is a better choice if I'm starting a team from scratch.
Yeah.
And I need someone to really carry the weight of a
Mm-hmm.
team. Winston can do more. He can be more effective in that role. With this situation, this is a team that's loaded.
You need a
I
facilitator.
need not just a facilitator, but I need to just make sure that they're fucking focused and doing their job. If this team is engaged, they're gonna win the whole thing, unless they have just the worst shooting night ever. Winston kind of, he was almost too nice of a guy. So with this setup, I would take Cleaves. If the question were you're starting a program from scratch, which guy would you take? I think the argument sorts to gravitate a little more towards Winston because I think he can do more and have more of an impact.
But imagine Winston on a team where he didn't have to score 20+ points a night for Michigan State to win games. Like he
That's a fair
put his
counter.
he put his team on the team on his back quite a bit when he was there, and they won games strictly because he was on fire. I mean, if he had 3 or 4 guys who could shoot open, what if he had Bryn Forbes on his team?
Oh
my God.
That's a fair counter.
Six
That's a
man.
very good
You know,
argument.
That's right.
But like I agree with you that you don't really need someone who's going to score 18 to 20 points a game in that lineup. But Cassius Winston probably wouldn't have needed to if he had 1 or 2 more guys on his team.
It's very fair. Yeah, it's fair. At the end of the day, can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Right? So, well, that's it, man. You guys both did great. Yeah, we're well over an hour. I don't want to keep you all night, but so you guys obviously have 2 different things going on. You had never met before tonight, so you got the very popular Lockdown Spartans podcast. So you want to give us a little plug. Where can people find you? Tell us
Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you get podcasts. Locked On Spartans.
Check them out.
Don't find me on Twitter. I wouldn't recommend that.
We've had
Just ask Scott. I wouldn't
Your
recommend
handle's
trying
probably
to-
been up all night.
You're the
Right,
third. You're the
perfect.
third lockdown guy. So we had Matt Shook who left
Oh, yeah.
the Lockdown Pistons,
Hell
and we
yeah.
had obviously Chris Castellani, who's been in here
Great guy.
12 times. So
Sensational.
you're the
Right.
third one under that banner.
Here we
So
go, baby.
Connor, Spartan Avenue, not Spiro Avenue, no affiliation.
Yep.
So
No, not the same.
SpartanAvenue.com.
SpartanAvenue.com. You can follow me at Connor Muldowney on Twitter. I have plenty of bad takes you can go make fun of.
Sure.
Both on Spartan Avenue and on my Twitter account. So
Yeah, thanks Ben for throwing that up there. So the information for our
Thanks, Ben.
many viewers at home, you can check them out. So I loved having you guys. I've enjoyed
This is
following
great.
you.
I had a great time.
I think you guys are so different, like with at least your media personalities. And here you're actually kind of 2 peas in a pod. But like
We
I
used to
think
live together.
We're actually roommates.
together.
Yeah,
Are
well-known
you actually
fact.
both married?
We live in your basement, Justin. I don't know if you've caught on by now.
Is that-
but
is that-
we've been here the last 5 months.
I was getting
Yeah.
kind of a vibe that you guys
Yeah,
may
yeah.
have been here before.
Yeah.
You knew where everything
That's why I
was
have
in
to
the
resupply your
drawers.
gin all the time. That's right. Yeah, I was like, oh.
You felt very comfortable at that bar. It was not your first rodeo.
No.
But I think I'll be frank with you, Matt. I think I had to say my most enjoyable Spartan Twitter follow. It's definitely you. Like,
you don't have to lie to me.
You make no. You
lie to me.
Come on. I have a reputation for being too mean. I've never been accused of being too nice.
Because I'm Mr. Nice Guy all the time when MSU's losing to Rutgers. Yeah, it's a great time.
You react in moments of emotion. This is my baseline.
Do I?
Yeah. This is my baseline, is to be kind of a curmudgeon.
Sure.
But no, I love your work.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
You crack my ass up. You've actually been on this show twice in a row.
Oh, wow.
You made a cameo appearance in the last episode with John Ziegler. So if you want a 3.5-hour episode on how Jerry Sandusky's actually innocent, you can see a brief appearance from Matt there too. And the flip side of the coin, obviously, Connor, you're writing. You're sort of a more serious personality than Matt, which is obviously, I think everybody is.
You're not a court jester.
I mean, I get in so many arguments on Twitter. I don't think anybody takes me seriously.
You got stamina, man. Whew, love it.
But you guys have a different vibe, but both have a good place in this sphere. And I enjoy both of you, which is why I've had you on. I've never invited anybody that I thought just sucked. So I do encourage people to check you out. I want to say real quick, we have 2 great shows coming up after this. Not tonight, because I don't have that much stamina. Let's face it, I'm getting old, not like these guys that have the endless motor.
That's right, 17 years old. That's right.
So this is the rare 3 shows in 5 nights thing. So obviously this was tonight. It was wonderful. Thank you for watching. We do have Chad Livengood coming in, Crane's Detroit Business. I don't want to get too complimentary here in the same 5-minute segment, but I have openly said I think Chad Livengood is the best journalist working in the state of Michigan today.
Strong.
He's been on the show twice. This will be his 3rd time. A lot going on with the governor and businesses and unemployment. He got a lot of strong opinions on this. Airplanes to Florida that no one knows who was on it with the governor. It's going to be fascinating. Chad's a great guy, a Spiro Avenue veteran at this point. And then rolling over to Tuesday, I don't know what it is. I don't know who finally said something nice that got to this individual, but Nick Baumgardner from The Athletic. He is a guy that has turned us down for 4 years, back when I had wires hanging from the ceiling and it was just audio. This guy used to not even respond to me, and then there was always some soccer game or something for his kids that I don't even know if he has kids. he saw something that he liked about the show, or maybe I just wore his ass out. He finally said yes. So as far as I know, it is my face. Let's face it. It's very punchable. But Tuesday night, Nick Baumgardner from The Athletic, he has been just phenomenal over the years. Again, one of my favorite journalists. So we got a lot great coming. I know Eric Williamson, our set designer, graphic designer, is sitting at home in his boxers on his couch watching this. So Eric, don't forget to turn the light off there. Thanks for everything you do. And we always say, to the great and powerful Oz, Ben Augusta on the other side of the wall.
Great job by him.
Ben does a great job. Is he not phenomenal?
Ben's great.
Sensational.
Ben's the man. He was hired, not away from us, but in conjunction with us, hired at 97.1 The Ticket because they were so impressed with his work here.
No kidding.
I am taking full credit for his triumph in that regard. But
right.
No, we're very lucky. Anytime we get a compliment, I always try to defer to Eric and Ben because I literally just sit here and talk. Anybody can do that. All the cool shit that we do is not me. So Ben and Eric, we love you. Hey, check these guys out, Matt Sheehan and Connor Muldowney. Not Meltdowney, that's Muldowney. And it's been great having you. We'll see you 2 more times in the next 4 nights. Spiro Avenue Show, Justin Spiro, episode 33. Check us out on Twitter, guys. We have a hilarious picture. We look very good in the Mel Tucker outfit.
Oh, yeah.
See you guys in a couple of days. Thank you.